Welcome to Planetary Intelligence, everyone. And well, it's been a very, very long time since we've last had our podcast, but it's way, way long overdue. I am honored and proud to have Logan Jason back on again for another decode, decode basically
Session,
to
yeah,
do
decode
that.
session,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. And
Yeah,
today, since my channel's been blowing up, I've done a podcast recently with Jason Brashears, and it's all been about the Quran. So I wanted to go on that theme, and I reached out to Logan, and one of the things that I wanted to cover was the mysterious hidden letters in the Quran, and who better to decode that mystery than Logan. Logan, welcome back. Thank you so much, man, for
yeah,
coming on
bro.
here.
It has been it's been a lot. What it's probably been, almost a year, maybe? No, has it been
Yeah,
that long? It probably has. It's been a while since
yeah,
we joined forces. So dude. I always love sharing space with you and your mindset. And we had a good time the last time. And since we're improving this again, this is going to be fun. So
for sure, man. Looking forward to it. So should we, without any further ado, should we just get right into it and
yeah,
start
get right into it
covering?
because I mean, look, I'll let you go ahead. You take off with it,
I'll
bro.
do an introduction to the mysterious letters, so all our listeners can kind of familiarize themselves with what it's all about.
Yeah.
So the mysterious letters of the Quran are just unique letters that are spread out and scattered throughout the chapters in the Quran, and usually they're presented as joined letters, but they are pronounced individually. So, for example, in Surah 2, chapter 2, verse 1, and it always is in verse 1 as well in each chapter. So you'll have Alif Lam Mim, but it will be written ALM, Alm. But everybody knows that these are the mysterious letters. Nobody knows their meanings, where they come from, and supposedly the Muslims believe that only the Prophet Muhammad knew their true meanings, and it will remain a mystery. But
Not
that to
anymore.
me is a bit, it's sort of retarded way of thinking. Why put it in there? Why would God, this Allah, put
Yeah.
these letters in there to begin with if they're not there to be decoded?
Yeah.
And to this day, nobody has really decoded the mysterious letters and their meanings. But Jason, should we do this? Should we get into
For sure, man. We already sent
okay.
you an email, right? With a
Yep,
head start. I don't remember exactly what I wrote. I don't have it in front of me because I wanted to improv all this stuff and I wanted to just shoot
for
from the
sure.
hip. But I mean, I think what would be important is like to describe the narrative of okay, the Quran obviously is the Muslim holy text. That's a
Yep.
no-brainer. But is this would you say that this mysterious message or hidden message is probably one of the biggest highlights of the Quran itself?
Well, it's one of the biggest question marks. The rest of the Quran has already been translated in many various ways by various translators, even in the English translation, even in the Spanish and French and so on. But nobody till this day has been able to, even in this Quran here. So if I was to go to verse 2, you would find that there is no, what's the word? There's no explanation to the verse. All that's written next to it is ALM, and just so people can see it. So here it is. If I just bring that close to the screen there, you should be able to see it.
Yep.
So it says Alif Lam Mim. You can
Yep.
see those letters.
Yep.
They're ALM, Alif Lam Mim. There is no actual translation to those verses.
We're gonna do our best to change that parameter at this point. And we're in this age now of decoding, and I'm pretty confident that we're gonna be able to break this down, and I'm gonna have to do a decode on it, straight up.
Okay.
But we'll do our best. But ALM, I mean, you know, the first letter, the 12th letter, the 13th letter, that's going to give you 26. And that right there, that's tied to Yod He Vav He, because Yod He Vav He in the Hebrew numerology is 26. And, you know, Allah is 13. And the Ankh is 13 in numerology. I mean, I'm just going to straight up say, my opinion is Allah is tied to the sun. It's tied to Sirius, the Lord of Sirius anyway. And I just think that
I was going to ask you about Lord of Sirius, because that always fascinates me, Logan, because every time I look at the sort of Masonic and Freemasonry, you always see this sort of solar symbology.
Yep.
But a lot of people who've gone deep into the research actually say that it represents Sirius, all those rays, and the sort of solar-like symbology is actually not the sun, but Sirius itself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's in the Quran, right? There's like 2 scriptures in there that talk about, and it says that Allah is the Lord of Sirius. So we have to like, okay, is it Sirius itself, or is it the Lord over Sirius? The Lord of, that word of is a big marker for this perhaps interpretation. And then you get into the Gnostic demiurge called Yaldabaoth. If you get into the Aleister Crowley deck, on the Tower card, on card 16, there's a picture of Yaldabaoth there. So is Yaldabaoth just protecting over the mighty star Sirius?
Well, that verse in itself, it says Huwa Rabbul, he is the Lord of. So Rabb means Lord. Rabbul means Lord of. Not Lord over or the creator of Sirius, because that would mean something completely different, right?
That's right.
So when you're saying Lord of Sirius, that's specifically referring to being its Lord as opposed to its creator.
Yep. And I mean, the word Lord in numerology is 16. The Tower card is the 16th card. Sirius is 16 in numerology. These are all in Chaldean numerology, the oldest known numerology cipher on the planet, using the English language. But, you know, we're going to do this off camera, but I know we had done this before, but I'm really interested in getting the single digits of the Arabic language that determines the Quran, because I like using the original languages and then breaking them down. It's been challenging to do that. I know you gave them to me a long time ago, the first time we talked, but I think you probably have revised those or refined them anyway, right? You've gotten them narrowed down. Is that right, with the alphabet?
Yeah, I had, well, I think I did a while back. There was I'm seeing if I can find, I did have them prepared here, but the folder's just closed.
That's okay.
The Quran, the Arabic alphabet was there, and I had the numerology of each letter in the right chronological order. So let's see if I can find that.
Beautiful.
But,
how many letters are there in the Arabic language? The alphabet, I should say.
So it's 28 letters.
28. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a big marker. 28. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's good. Okay. That's a big marker, 28, tied to the patterns of the moon. 28's tied. It's the second perfect number in mathematics. It's tied to Lucifer, because Lucifer's 28. In numeral architects, 28. So these are pretty big markers. So
okay. So let's see if I can find this. It was here somewhere. But I was gonna, just as I'm looking for this, I was gonna see what your view was on the mysterious letters, since we're on that.
Well, subject. Remember,
as a totality.
Yeah. Well, what I can recall when I broke down all the, I broke them all. I broke it all down. You sent it to me, and then I'm like, okay, let me just check this out. And then I sent you another email. Remember? And I think from my recollection, there was 226 letters, right? I think for the entire passage, all the hidden mysteries, and 226 right off the get-go is tied to radium, which is Ra. So you go right back to 226 is the weight of the atomic weight of Ra. That's why the alchemy and the periodic table is such a massive tool in the decoding world, because that's where it's at. We're made up of a lot of these elements, and there are tools, and so Ra being 88 the 226, and that essentially, when you add that up, 88 plus 226, 314, which is pi. And Earth is pi. I believe Earth is pi, the perfect circle. We live on it. And Ra presides over it. And Ra has so much to say in this, Ra being 21/3 in numerology. The world card is 21 in the tarot. And I mean, Ra being tied to the sun, it's tied to, I mean, think about it in astrology. You have Lib Ra. People call it Libra, but it's pronunciate Lib Ra. Then you have Rahu, the north node of the moon, Rahu. You know, so we pay attention to this stuff, and then you get the nakshatras, and you get into all this Vedic astrology that is going to tell you a lot of stories about Ra. But I think it's tied to Lib Ra, the scales of justice. And I think that Allah, Ra, Allah, you know what I mean? I mean, Kabbalah has Allah right in it. And Kabbalah is tied to the Tetragrammaton, which is the Yod He Vav He, which is the deity of the Bible, the Holy Bible. So is there any reference between the Quran and the Bible? They're one and they're just a different holy text said in a different way, packaged differently. I say that, you know, Allah is Ra, which is the Yod He Vav He, Lucifer, Jesus, you know, Yaldabaoth, Mazda, I mean, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. I mean, where do you want to go with this? It's just a colorful expression of the archetype, the architect of this reality.
Wow.
Yes.
It's all tying in together. I can see how all those connections
has to be. It's a big Ponzi.
Actually, Kabbalah. I mean, Kabbalah. You have Allah in Kabbalah.
Yeah, Kabbalah, Allah. Yeah, exactly. It's right there. Yeah, and the letter
K away the cab.
Yeah, and the K is the 11th letter, and the 11 it's tied to the Society of Jesus. The origination of the Society of Jesus in the city of the country of, was it France? I don't remember, but anyway, the actual address of where they first started was in number 11, and K is the 11th letter. Kabbalah starts with the letter K. So, you know, I mean, the Catholic Church, all it is just Judaism. It's just packaged through Christianity. But don't be fooled about, I mean, it's just a hidden aspect of Judaism.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
But I see the same thing. I mean, when you look at Islam, for example, and its practices, you know, just as circumcision happens in Judaism, circumcision happens in Islam too. So
is that right? Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So all you know, Muslim families who have male children, they circumcise their boys. But there are very extreme, very small sects of Islam that do it to girls, but that's a whole twisted other thing that I don't really want to go into. But you know, generally speaking, in the mainstream, the boys are circumcised just as the Jewish boys are circumcised.
Okay.
So I found that quite interesting as a correlation between the practices, because you know, this is, you know, it's, and they all Moses is quite a big character in the Quran, very huge character. He's the one that he tells you the story of Moses with his staff when he goes to meet Pharaoh, and he gets challenged by the magicians, by all the other magicians that Pharaoh has, and he because he is Allah's chosen prophet, he's the one that throws the staff and turns it into a snake, and nobody can mimic his type of magic.
Sure.
And why did his staff turn into a snake? I mean, these are all symbolic, right? So
they're astrological too, because you go back to these ages of, you know, seemingly now we're moving into, or have moved into, the age of Aquarius. Pisces before that, before Pisces was Aries, before Aries was Taurus. And that's why in the 10 Commandments, you have Moses coming down there worshiping the golden calf. He smashes the 10 Commandments because he's like, hey, we're in the age of Aries now, right? So these are the ages. These ancient texts talk about the ages of astrology. And that's where it's at, really. When you look at it, that's where it's at. And, you know, we're now moving into or seemingly have moved into the age of Aquarius. And you can bring all these ancient texts in there: Quran, Bible, Upanishads. You know, it's just all moving into this new age. I opened up my actually, just so you know, I have my email I sent to you of the small breakdown that I did. So I have my notes here in front of me, and
fantastic.
We were talking about the Muqatta. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, muqatta'at.
What is it?
Muqatta'at.
Muqatta'at. Oh yeah, okay, Muqatta'at. Okay,
yeah,
because I
it means broken. It means broken letters. That's what
broken
it actually
letters.
means.
Muqatta'at.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It has 29 verses. Letters.
Yeah.
20. Okay.
So yeah, there's 29 verses. Yeah, there's 29 verses. So yeah, what do you think, Jason? So I know you sent me the email, but just for the benefit of our audience.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. I want to say that. Yeah. Well, 29. Yaldabaoth equals 29 in its numerology, Chaldean.
Right.
Okay. So that's why, and you go back to, Allah is the Lord of Sirius. And Sirius is tied to the number 16 in the Tower card. And 16 is tied to the word spirit in Hebrew. The word spirit through Hebrew numerology is 16. The spirit of God, right? So it's tied to Yaldabaoth. And the Muqatta'at has 226 letters, which is radium, Ra. So these are all blended together, all tied together, and they're seemingly telling this story that all these deities and all these different names of the God are... It's just a Ponzi scheme. I'm saying that in a fun way too, by the way, any of you listening here. I'm not saying, and it's not anyone's trying to screw you over or dupe you. Ponzi scheme meaning that whatever's controlling this reality owns the whole lot of it. There's no separation, which would end division. Because it's just like, I mean, are you arguing over, like, I wear Levi's, but I wear, I wear a different pair of jeans other than Levi's. Are you going to get mad at me because I chose to wear Levi's? Or I wear Nikes, but you wear Converse. Are we going to fight over that? That's how ridiculous it is. But it's religion. So people get really passionate about this. But I think we're in the age of I know thyself. There's no reason to even argue and divide anymore. We have the information here.
Yep. So here, just to kind of break it down for the audience, we're talking about that the actual mysterious or broken letters in the Quran happen in 29 different chapters of the Quran. So in 29 of them, that's where you see them occur. But then you breaking them down to the individual. So like Alif Lam Mim, that happens, that occurs several times in the Quran. It's quite a big one actually. I think it appears what is it, like about six times. So 6 times Alif Lam Mim. And I've got if I can share my screen, Logan, just so I can show you the alphanumeric.
You should be able to share your screen. Go ahead. Can you do it? You should be able to.
It's disabled at the moment for some reason. Could be under the participants, perhaps.
No, it's
no. All good.
Well,
so
you can do. You can
the numbers.
Yeah, we'll have to just make do with. For some reason, I mean. Hold on.
So Alif is 1 in the alpha in numerology.
Try it now. Try to see if you can share it now.
Oh yes, nice. Okay. So can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So as you can see here, we have Alif, which is 1 in the order of the Arabic alphabet.
Top right. Yep.
Then we have Lam, which is 23.
Okay.
And Meme, which is 24.
Okay.
So if we're to add, I mean, is this what you normally do, Jason? Would you add all these up?
Yeah, of course.
So you're going to in one go.
So you're going to get 48.
Yep, that's correct.
That's huge. You want to know why this is so big? Because 48 is tied to Flower of Life.
Okay.
Flower of Life is Kabbalah, dude. The tree of life, Flower of Life, 48. Flower of Life in numerology is 48. This is my next presentation coming out on Kabbalah.
Wow. I mean, This is the most popular letter combination in the Quran because it occurs more than once. It occurs up to 6 times. seventh with an additional letter as well in the Quran.
Well,
So,
7 is, you go to Libra. 7 is the sign of Libra. Ra.
Wow.
Flower of life.
Back to Libra.
Libra,
yes.
right back to it. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
So there you have it, man. 48 is tied to flower life is 48. Spirit of God is 48 in numerology. See, the 48, nice. the 40, I don't have my tarot cards, but the 48 in the tarot is the Knight of Cups. And that card is, the meaning of it is looking for love, the flower of life. The tree of life in Kabbalah is the flower of life in sacred geometry, which is now tied to these mysterious letters, which are no longer mysterious in the Quran.
Right.
It means looking for love. It's spirit coming down into this reality to play out its experience, its own game, and it's looking for love. It's looking to procreate. It's looking to create, corporate, anything in this reality. This reality is based upon a game, which is called life, the flower of life. And the 29, the number 29, since there are 29 verses in this mukatat, 29 in alchemy is copper. And copper is tied to our DNA. And it's not only tied to our DNA, but the most abundant weight of copper, the atomic mass, is 63. And flower of life is 63.
Wow.
Did I say flower life is 48? I said, no, spirit of God.
48.
Yeah, the flower life is 63. I stand corrected. Flower life is 63, and the spirit of God is 48. Let me just double check this. So I think I got a little excited here. Let me see. Where's the 48?
Well, no one's really attempted to. I know there is.
Tree of life, excuse me.
Yeah.
Tree of life is 48.
Tree of
flower life is 63. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it's a tree of life.
Tree of life is 48, which is tied to Kabbalah, which is tied to sacred geometry. Flower life is 63, which is tied to the element copper and the number 29. So there you have it. So this whole, this whole mukatat is, it just blends right into Kabbalah.
Wow. So can we go and decipher another combination here?
Of course.
Let's do the next one. So the next instance is Alif Lam Sad. So if I was to share and go back to the alphanumeric order of the Arabic alphabet, so we have Alif as 1, Lam, Alif Lam 23. Yep. And Alif Lam Mim. So I'm just trying to remember which combination it was.
Well, that was what we just did, right? That was Alif Lam Mim, which is the 48. What was the other one you were looking at?
Alif Lam Mim Sad. Sorry, Sad.
Sad. Okay. So we add another letter to this.
And an additional letter. So.
And which number is that?
An extra 14, so we add 14.
48 and 14 is 52, right?
Okay.
Is it, what was it? What was it? Was it 15? Hold on, 15 or 14?
It's 14.
60,
which
62,
is this letter.
Excuse
here.
me. Yeah, 62.
Yeah. So 62.
62, and 62 is tied to the dream of the cosmos. It's tied to this element called samarium, which is tied to pi, which is tied to the dream. Life is, life is but a dream. 62, I am that I am. It's tied to the number 62. See these when you're a decoder and you're looking at numbers, I'd like you to take into consideration, those of you that are into this stuff, that these numbers, they bleed into one another. They pair. So if you have a 62, or if you have a 61, or if you have a 60, the number right next to it is going to pair with it, because things come in pairs. You can even bleed a little bit further than that. So for instance, tree of life in Hebrew numerology is the number 80. And the tree of knowledge. Now I know you can add in the good and bad, but forget, those are just, those are adjectives to describe the tree of knowledge. Tree of knowledge is 81. So the tree of life is 80, tree of knowledge is 81, and 80 and 81 is 161, and that's the golden ratio. So I know, and this is just one instance, these numbers bleed. 29 becomes a pair with 30. And 30 is tied to the word demiurge, tied to the word Jehovah, it's tied to Santa Claus. The whole thing about Christmas is Santa coming down the chimney. That's coming down into the tree of life to play the game, the flower of life. You're in it. You're inside the flower of life. It's earth. That is the entire flower of life. That's sacred geometry. And the Quran is directly attributed to that as well. It's just a different story told a different way.
Fascinating.
What else you got? What else you got? Give me some.
All right, let's go. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next combination, and that is Alif Lam Ra.
Ra, there you go. Ra.
It's funny how in Arabic Ra is pronounced Ra. Yeah. So the letter R or R is pronounced Ra in Arabic.
Okay.
So Alif Lam Ra, that we get that as, let's calculate that one. Alif Lam, so 1 and 23.
Okay,
and
24.
Ra
and 10.
Alif Lam. So that's Alif here.
Yep.
And we have Lam over here. That's
okay. Well, Alif, okay, so 24, yep. And then 10, Ra.
And then Ra.
So we got 34.
Which is 34, yep.
Okay. And that's tied to the element selenium, which is tied to the Greek goddess named Selene, which means the moon. 34.
Wow.
Okay, so now you're gonna get more.
We have a chapter in the Quran called the moon as well. Wow. There is a chapter in the Quran called the moon. Yeah.
Well, I mean, remember you mentioned the number 28. And the 28 is how many letters there are in the Arabic language, right? Alphabet. Well, 28 is tied to the patterns of the moon.
Oh, so wow.
We have the sun and the moon here. And these are the two, this is the Ark of the Covenant. My research, the sun and the moon are the Ark of the Covenant. So you have and anytime you see two pillars, like Boaz and Yachin, that's the sun and the moon. That's the Ark of the Covenant. It's the.
You also have in You also have in Islam. They operate on the lunar calendar as well. So it's a lunar type religion. You know.
Yep, it is because it has the moon on there with the two stars, right?
That's right.
How many stars? There's the moon.
One
and
star.
One star.
I mean, Muslims don't really adopt any symbols, but it's the well-known one. I mean, even on top of mosques and minarets, you will always find the sickle moon, always on the, because of the Hijrah calendar is all operating on the 28-day lunar calendar. So there you have it.
And I mean, then you could take into the aspect of, could the moon be Yaldabaoth? Could the moon be Allah? I mean, could it just be? Was the moon once a sun and it's just burned out? Maybe. Could be. So at one point it could have been the sun and now it's not, but it still has its presence in the sky. I don't know. Kind of just throwing that out there for people to scratch their heads and think. This is a thinking discussion. So, we want to be able to, and just throwing ideas. I'm not saying it's true, but we take all these things into consideration. And there's going to be some people say, well, the moon's not real. Well, okay, but there are so many other planets that have moons. Are they all fake too? Like, how many moons does Jupiter have? How many moons, you know what I mean? Like, are they all just fake? I mean, I've seen plenty of amateur astronomers with their telescopes looking up there, and they're showing these planetary bodies. And I mean, is it just all a hologram? I mean, maybe it could be. I know Jason from Archaics, he thinks it's all a hologram, but I don't agree.
Why
I think he does. I should take that back. I think he does. Jason, if you're listening, it's not true. My apologies, but
no, he sees it as a simulation. It's a simulacrum.
Your simulation, right? Simulacrum. Yeah,
simulacrum. Yeah.
So maybe I twisted his words a little. Maybe he didn't say exactly that, but I think he's kind of unsure about it. But anyways,
what are your thoughts on the nature of this reality? Just out of curiosity.
Well, my Kabbalah Decoded is going to summarize it up, but I'll tell everybody. Listen. We live inside of the eggshell. Earth is an egg shaped, and all you have to do is go look at it. If you want to go look this up, go check it out. We live inside of a xenon bulb. Okay, and a xenon bulb is what the latest movie studios use to project the movie onto the screen. And it looks like an egg. It's a clear bulb, and inside is going to where you're going to have these two rods. One of them is in the form of a triangle, and that's what forms the light. And that's exactly the way this reality works. And it's all about xenon. Xenon is 20 to 27. The word xenon is 27, and Ensof in Kabbalah is 27. Yeah.
But when you say about the xenon and the projection, do you not see this as a projection? Do you just see this as a
well, I mean, do I look like I mean, I'm pretty hard, you know, like there are solid objects, so we have to take these things into consideration. I think that this is a movie, though. I believe wholeheartedly we are living inside of a movie. The Earth is a movie set, and we can say it's a simulation. Yeah, of course, simulation. What does a simulation mean? Meaning that something is, you know, testing the parameters on how this is all going to work. Like that is what a simulation means. Like, let's just run a simulation. Use this in a sentence. Let's run a simulation and see what happens. See, we're being tested. This is just, you know, like putting mice in a cage and seeing what they do. But the thing is that this story has already been written, though. It's already in my opinion, it's a predestined script. This is why you can start to decode things and start to see things in astrology and all my decoding, my 380 plus videos now. You can see how it's all scripted reality. Seemingly there's no other way around it at this point. So anything in the ancient text, Quran, Vedas, Holy Bible, you know, any of these ancient texts, they were all written because they were supposed to be written. And religion, the word is 27. And that's a match to the word heaven. And that's a match to the word Ensof. The word currency is 27. 27 is the 27th card in the tarot is the Five of Wands. And the picture of that is all these people fighting. Because that's exactly what this reality is designed around. It's designed around energetic exchange. So in order to get energetic exchange, you need movement, and not just physical movement, but you need mental movement. So when somebody says, my religion is the only way and the right way, you're now going to have people that are going to say, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Your religion's like, come on, my religion, I got it figured out. I'm right and you're wrong. But see, when you can come to the higher aspect of your consciousness, you'll realize everybody is right. And that alleviates all the burden of division, because then you don't have to go out there trying to defend your way. Because essentially, all these religions, they used to, you know, I talked about this on my podcast. I think we talked about this last time. At one point in time, there was only one religion. Can you imagine that? Now, how many are there now? Supposedly over 10,000.
I've lost count.
Yeah, I know, but can you imagine? I mean, even if there was just 1,000 religions, what the hell is wrong with the first one? And if you want to get, you know, nitty gritty about it, the first one should be the most authentic. But of course, what is the very first one? Well, then you're going to go back to people saying it's this, it's the Quran, it's Christianity, it's Judaism, it's the Vedas, it's Brahma, it's Vishnu, it's Shiva. I mean, okay, which one do you want to pick? It's Mazda. You know, like which one, who's it going to be for you today? See, if it doesn't get you one way, it's going to get you the other way. And I say I'm saying the supernatural. Whatever's running this reality, it owns it all. It's like a women's walk-in closet. 50,000 pairs of jeans, 1 million blouses, 20,000 purses, 50,000 pairs of shoes. That's the currency of this reality. It's a walk-in closet for somebody who, like a female who has a ton of stuff in it. That's the architect. That's my humor, by the way. I'm not making fun of women, but you know, yeah, I've seen plenty of big walk-in closets in my day. So
Sure. Yeah. Well, fascinating to see your view on it, Jason. I mean, you've been decoding for quite some time, so it's I think for me, I always keep an open mind to see all perspectives. And you know, it's like what you said. I think everybody's got to find their truth within themselves. I mean, that's all there is to it. You know, there is so much variety in the world out there, so much philosophical outlooks, and so many different views. And the thing is, we got to put our certain differences aside, you know, because those things tend to divide people and get them too kind of triggered by you know, if you don't see it my way, then it's the highway. You know, it's sort of, it's all very cutthroat with certain people, and I just don't feel that that's that important. At the end of the day, it can from human to human, from spirit to spirit, whatever you want to label it as, soul to soul. Can we have mutual love and respect and understanding between us, and that's all that matters. But anyway, I digress. But thank you for explaining that. I really find that fascinating. Seeing people's personal views on reality and where we are. And for sure, I mean, when I look back at my life, I just see certain things, the succession of things that have happened. It's almost like they were meant to happen in that order, or they were meant to happen to where I am today.
Yep.
So, who's creating that? Who's doing that? Well, that's the mystery, or that's my story, as a friend of mine, Jake, says. So anyway, going back to the Quran, and should we go for another one? Do another?
Yeah, of course, man. We got plenty of time.
All right.
Roll it out, bro.
So Alif Lam Ra, the one that you've just decoded, that occurs 5 times in the Quran. Just so you're aware.
Well, the number 5, the 5 is a big number. It's tied to the pentagram, which is tied to man. It's your identity. 5 means your identity. In the astrology, it's going to be the house of Leo, which is ruled by the sun. So you get more Ra reference there, right? The sun god Ra. But 5 is, the only the only number that looks like the letter S. And S is tied to the word sun. S is tied to the word spirit. S is tied to the word soul. S is tied to the word sine wave, the sine and cosine wave, which seemingly make up. Now you get into the double slit experiment. You're going to get into photons and the observance of those, and changing the way things are when you observe. It really all comes down to that. Is if you study the double slit experiment, it was, a pattern that light makes. But then once you put an observer on it, it changes the way the pattern comes out. That's because you define it. So like the waves which move through us all the time, the electromagnetic waves chasing the pulse of light, these always are moving through us. We're chasing that light, and we're defining the waves which provide them, density, which bring them down into the 3D reality. And we now say, well, this is a phone, or this is a remote control, or this is a microphone. We define these things. And then when we define them enough, then we don't have to define them anymore. We know, like, as long as you're not a baby, that's what it is.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that double slit experiment, I did see it, and how the light, when they put light into the water, when it goes through a double slit, it's incredible. So if anybody hasn't seen that, it's worth a watch. Just
totally worth a watch.
Yeah.
Totally worth a watch. Well, so Aleph Lam.
Aleph Lam Ra we've already done. Yeah. So the next one here is Aleph Lam Mim Ra.
Yep.
Since we're on Aleph Lam Ra, we can do Aleph Lam Mim Ra, which is let's have a look. So Aleph Lam Mim. So we had Aleph Lam Mim as 48, and then the Ra we added as a 10. So it's 58.
58.
Yep.
Okay. 58's tied to the word puppet master is 58. 58's tied to the element Sirium. Sirium's tied to the god Ceres, the asteroid Ceres, which is the god of agriculture. And now you get into the Shemitah, because that's exactly, now you get back where it goes right back to Judaism. It's just, I'm not trying to favor Judaism here, because this is the text is the Quran here, but they're one in this. I don't see them any other way. I mean, you break down this whole Aleph, Mim Ra. What was the other word?
Yeah, Aleph Lam Mim Ra.
Aleph Lam Mim Ra. That's 33 in Chaldean numerology. How many times is that one said in the verses?
That occurs as well. That one occurs in the chapter called the Thunder.
The Thunder.
Yeah. So
well, there you go. I mean, that's the Tower card in the tarot really does a nice job explaining things just from a perspective of symbols. And the Tower, again, 16th card tied to the word light equals 16, Sirius equals 16, Lord equals 16. And, the tower is it's like the Big Bang. The light move. I mean, you go back to Genesis and it says the pulse of the Spirit of God moved across the waters, which is the diamagnetic pulse, which is tied to the tower. Okay. The tower it's essentially the light game that we're playing out, which is that's what all these ancient texts really are. They're just a book about the light game. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're playing a game of light, slowed down into physics. It's spirit into matter.
Yep, that's the age-old. I mean, that's the whole thing about the human experiment: the spirit into matter.
Spirit into matter.
Have we come here to learn how to balance spirit and matter together? And then we talk about duality now as well. When we talk about spirit and matter as well, so it all goes into this sort of, again, what are we here for? And whether it's a simulation or whether you see it as a reality manifest, and it's something very real, as it is, then it's again about the paradoxes that we can see in this reality, and it kind of reflecting that back to us. So that's why I find these decodes as well really fascinating, because when you get into the numerology of them, it really does open up the eyes. So we had Alif Lam Ra, and the next one here is, let's have a look at it. Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad. So this is one of the only instance where 5 letters are said in succession. So I want to see if I can
Surah
remember.
19. It's only Surah 19, right?
That is Surah, chapter Maryam. Yep, I believe that's 19.
So for the listener, you may want to explain what is the surah. Did I pronounce that right?
Surah is a chapter.
Chapter.
So surah is a chapter.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
It's funny, surah, if you actually were to say surah in Arabic, it means image.
Okay.
Or plate. It actually doesn't mean chapter, but because in biblical references, we refer it as a chapter. So, I mean, there's one chapter where there's only 5 verses in there. So, I wouldn't exactly call it a chapter, but surah in Arabic means image, which is very interesting as a use of, word usage. So yeah, Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad. So I want to go into where is it? Kaf Ha Ya Ain Sad. So Kaf, you have 22.
Hang on, let your screen pop up. There you go. No, go ahead. Okay,
yeah.
So 22.
Kaf, yep. Ha, which is
22 is the bottom right, if you're looking.
Yep.
22
26.
Is 26 is on the bottom row there. Okay, so we have 48.
Yep. Then we have Ya, which is this one here.
So that's 28 bottom left. So we have 48 and 28, which is 76.
And then we have Ain, which is this one here.
Which is 18. Okay.
Yep. And the last one being Sad, which is 14 here.
Sad, okay. It's 14. Yeah. So we have a total of 108. Now, is this one important?
Well, it's quite significant because, they're all significant because they're all part of the broken letters, but this is the only one in the whole of the Quran that has 5 letters in succession.
Right.
In one verse. So only one. So
that one adds up to 108. Now, I mean, in Catholicism, you get 108 rotary beads. 108 is tied to the numerology of Uranus in the Greek mythology, where it originated from, which means sky, right? And of course, the planet Uranus, Ra's in the Uranus. See, Ra has so much to do in so many of these words that we use. It's insane how many words are tied to Ra. So we go all the way back to ancient Egypt, and is it old? Okay, let me throw this out there, and I don't know this, so I'm going to ask you: how old is the Quran?
That's
a big guess.
That's a funny question, but if I was to tell you, in terms of the first, about 1,200 years old.
1,200. Okay, all right. Yeah. So it's pretty safe.
Islam's been around for 1400, just about 14. 1,450 years, or give and take.
Okay.
It's been around for that long, but supposedly all Muslims claim it was written at the time of Muhammad, which isn't the case. We don't have any evidence, but we find the earliest manuscripts to be about 50 or to 100 years after, or even 200 years after. Nobody can really date it accurately. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, then all these are, it's so interesting. I think Muhammad is 34, which is tied to selenium and the moon again. And Islam is all based on the moon worship, on the flag anyway. It's just a Muhammad.
You want to know the Arabic Muhammad as well?
Yeah, of course. Let's do that for sure. Because I always want to get the original language. Go ahead. Let's pull that up again.
So Muhammad is over here. We have Meme, which is 24.
24.
And we have then Ha, which is 6.
6.
And we have Meme again, Muhammad,
24.
24 again, and Dal, which is 8.
So you get 62, which is going to go back to 29 in copper. 20. Copper has an atomic mass of 62/63, and 62 again is going to go right back to life is but a dream, which I broke down. And if you haven't seen my Life is But a Dream Decoded, check it out. It's in there. The I am that I am is tied to the number 62, which is the mirror of the 26. Yod He Vav is 26. 26 and 62, and you reduce them down, it gives you 88. Remember, Quran starts with the letter Q. The Q is the 17th letter. Yod He Vav is 17 in the Chaldean numerology. So I see it as Allah is the Yod He Vav. So that's my summarization, which is Yaldabaoth, which is you're going to get Lucifer, Jesus. It's all Mazda, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. It just always go, and Ra. I mean, I had asked you how old the Quran is. You said, 1400. The Bible, supposedly the Holy Bible, 2000. Maybe I don't know. The Dead Sea Scrolls didn't come out. They weren't found in the caves till 1946, 1947. 46 is tied to our DNA. 47 is tied to the Tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton equals 47. They were finding what kind of caves? The Qumran starts with the letter Q. Qumran, Qumran caves. Come on. It's a freaking no-brainer. Yeah, the Qumran and the Bible, they're one and the same. Yeah. They're just a different story told in a different way. Same story told in a different way. That's why there's no reason to fight about this ridiculous thing.
The Qumran as well, with the meme, the M in there, if you were to break it down, it actually comes from the Qamar, which means moon. Again. Right. So
there you go.
It goes back to the moon.
Yeah, and if you go and look at like in the book of Psalms, I don't remember what chapter and verse it is, but it's the Lord. God says, "I am the sun and the moon." Basically, it's the sun and the shield, which is the moon, right? That's what it's claiming to be right there. So it's telling you it's the sun and the moon, and that's the Ark of the Covenant. I mean, the word Eden is 19. The sun is the 19th card in the tarot. The Yod is 10. The 10th card is the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot. The 10th element is neon. It has a weight of 19. The sun is the 19th card. Neon meaning colors. Neon colors, which colors come from light, come from the sun. It all goes back to the sun and the moon. Whichever one you want to pick. That's the Ark of the Covenant, sun and the moon.
Yeah. And we go back to duality again.
Go right back to duality, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, 19 and 18 are the sun and the moon cards. That's 37. Eye in the sky is 37. Shepherd is 37. 37th element is called rubidium, and the picture of the icon that Royal Society of Chemistry uses for alchemy is a big electric eye on it. It's pretty obvious that it's tied to the sun, which is going to be seemingly tied to Sirius. I don't know. I mean, are we in a binary pattern with Sirius?
I don't know too much about the astronomical aspects.
Yeah, I don't think everybody just observes it, but
I know Sirius is part of, you have the Orion belt and Sirius are lined up in the pyramid, the Great Pyramid. So the two shafts that are shooting up, and during the astrological procession, it lines up through these two shafts. Sirius is in one shaft, and the Orion belt is in the other. Yep. And then when you talk about Orion, you talk about the cup, and the Holy Grail, because it's all shaped like a cup, because it's shaped like a torso as well. So you get the Tor thing again, and yeah, it's fascinating. But
It
Sirius
is.
is the dog star, so it always refers to as the dog. And then you have Anubis as well in ancient Egyptian lore and
Yep.
mythology.
Yep.
So yeah, it's again the dog star, and dog, reverse the word dog, you get God.
Yep.
So again, it's
It's inescapable,
it's all,
man. It's kind of
yeah, it's
inescapable when
all
you start to
linked.
connect all this stuff. And, this is where I like I say, we're all decoding ourselves home. All of us coming together, putting all these pieces of the puzzle together. The technology we have. I mean, if you compare now that this age that we're in, you compare it to the Egyptian age. I mean, a lot of people say they were more advanced, but like they were freaking still using cuneiform tablets to press their letters and symbols. I mean, we're way more advanced during this age. Seemingly, we've gone from, even pen and paper are more advanced than a cuneiform tablet that they were using back then. We're not painting on a cave in a wall. We're using,
Yeah.
So
In primitive mainstream archaeology terms, Logan, yeah, that is the case. But again, when you look at how the Great Pyramid was built, there is, for me anyway, this is just my personal opinion. There is no way that a primitive race will be able to build monolithic structures like that with the accuracy to all the shafts and so. That tells me that, that. Well, at least before the Great Flood, because we don't have any surviving technology from that time to prove and say, well, yeah, they had advanced technology. But it suggests to me that there has been advanced technology, and they would have had some form of computers. How that looked then, I don't know, but that's just my personal opinion.
I'm sure it looked even way better. My take on it is there were giants living back then, and that's what built these pyramids, which obviously were like bricks to them. I don't think human beings were with horse and buggy or ropes and pulleys built the pyramids. I think giants built the pyramids. That's my logical explanation of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which would have been the gods, right? It would have been the gods.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. You get back to the Titans again as well.
Exactly.
So another, was there literal Titans there?
Yep.
So let's get into the single letter ones. So there's about there is only 3 single letter occurrences in the Quran. So if we do the first one, which is Sad,
yeah.
Sad is number 14 in the alphanumeric chart.
Yep. Well, I mean, it starts with the letter S, which always, to me, it's the 19th letter. 19 is tied to the word. It's a battery. It's the sine wave, the sun, et cetera, et cetera. It is in Surah number 38, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Surah number 38.
Surah number 38. And 38 is a big number because it's, from my research, is tied to the tree of life, the flower of life in the Kabbalah system. So again, we they cross-reference one another. But the 14 is a big one because it's tied to the word God. The word God equals 14. The word time equals 14. The word Satan equals 14. What is Satan? It's time. What happens over time? You decay, you will die. You will sin. That's called Satan. That's the devil that will tempt you. Time tempts you, right? So, but essentially, I think they're just one and the same. I think it's God coming down here to play out its own game. You can end up defining God any way you want. But the 14 tied to the number 43. 43 is the 14th prime number. 14 is tied to the constellation of, is it Virgo? Hold on, let me check. Virgo Libra. 14 is going to be tied to this in the chakra call in Vedic astrology. It's going to be called Chitra, Ra at the end. It's got Ra at the end, and that's in between 6 and 7. And 14 is tied to God. So there you go. I mean, again, the Ra reference. Virgo being the 6th sign. 6 is tied to carbon. 6 is the first perfect number in mathematics. We're made up of carbon. 6 is the lover's card in the tarot. So, and 19, or I'm sorry, in 14 being tied to this 43, it's a big connection in the tarot because it's going to be tied to the dreamer card, which is the 4 of swords. And I mean, this goes back to, are we just living in the dream of the cosmos? Is the cosmos just having a dream, and where it's dreaming us up? Daydreaming, you can get into daydreaming.
It's fascinating because, you know, when you, even the Quran or Al-Quran, Quran means the reading or reading. That's actually what it means. It just means reading. So yeah, it's interesting that you talk about the dream aspect to it as well, because that particular letter is followed by the great. It says, I think the second verse says, by the Quran full of remembrance. And then memory, you have memory. Memory is also a dream, a form of dreaming as well. When you remember things, it's also a form of dreaming, or reading the dream, which is what it actually you know is saying. So yeah, I find that fascinating too, how that all links up. So the next one is the letter Nun, which is the 25th letter in the Arabic alphabet.
25th?
Yeah, and it follows. Yeah, it's the 25th letter, and it's the 68th chapter.
Surah. Yeah, 68th chapter.
Surah,
yeah, I mean, 25 is, you know, it's tied to this element called manganese, which has a weight of 54. 54 is going to go right back to xenon. The 68 is tied to the tetragrammaton. It's tied to erbium, and the tetragrammaton having one of those atomic masses, the 166th, which tied to tetragrammaton in the English. But the 68 is massive. The big clue is the 68 because it's tied to the two world wars. When you break the two, World War I and World War II, when you break them down a specific way in numerology, it breaks down to the number 68. 68, and then if you bring in the invasion of Ukraine, if that is the start of World War III, that one also is a breakdown of the number 68. 68 is tied to erbium, this element erbium, and erbium is tied to duality. But 68 is tied to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh again. It's tied to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh again. And the 25, the word adversary is 25.
When you say Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, is that Yahweh? Is that different, or is that
same thing? Yahweh's 23. Yeah, Yahweh will be 23, but that's the royal star of the lion. And in my research, the royal star of the lion is tied straight up to Yaldabaoth. Yep. Royal star of the lion is 69 in numerology. 69 is tied to Cancer. I mean, why is it called Cancer? I mean, why is a big debilitating disease on the world stage? Why did they call it Cancer? It's tied. I mean, what rules Cancer? The moon. So you get into this moon again. These are things that you can't just, you know, like, wow, that's well, okay, that's fine. But no, it's like, it's pretty big. It's not just a subtle marker here. It's a big marker. 4 is the cube, right? The cube. Now you get into the Mecca in Saudi Arabia.
Yep, the Kaaba.
The Kaaba, which starts with the letter K, you know, which is the number 11. When the 11th zodiac sign's Aquarius. Aquarius is one of the 4 fixed signs. It's ruled by the Justice card.
Isn't Ka as well potassium? Is it potassium as well?
Well, potassium is the 19th element, which is called Kalium, but yeah, it's the letter K.
Yep. Interesting. Yeah. So the final letter of the single letters is Qaf, which appears in 50s, chapter 50.
QAF, it's spelled QAF, right?
Yeah, QF. Qaf is a single letter, so yeah, it's 21 in the alphanumeric order.
Well, that's tied straight up to Ra's 21. R and A is 21 in Chaldean numerology, but I mean, you know, you seemingly see like, well, Logan, everything's going back to these main archetypes. So yeah, of course. So they're going to break down from their own individual expressions, but seemingly, I mean, let's just use the brunt of it, the 29 verses, you know, add them all together. And, you know, like, I'm going to break this down a little bit more. But again, I think when I did the, go back to my email here, when I broke this down, 29 verses, and the Muqaddat, which is all its totality, all the stuff we're talking about, 226 letters. That's the element Ra.
Right.
So it has to, Ra has to be Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth has to be the Yod He Vav He. They both start with the letter Y. Y is the 10th letter. Say 10. You know, a lot of people know that. But 10 is the only number on its own because it's the binary system. Now you get into quantum. Quantum is 27. Heaven is 27. Ein Sof is 27. Is this where we're going? Are we going to go quantum during the Aquarius age? Aquarius is the 11th sign. Kabbalah starts with the letter K. You know, the 11th, the Aquarius. It's just really interesting. And then let's bring in, you know, more of the Holy Bible. You get the four Gospels, which is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I'm going to tell you, in my research, Matthew is tied to Aquarius because Matthew's the tax collector. So during the Aquarian age, it's time to pay up. It's time to pay up your tax because man and tax both equal 415. They both equal 10. Both of them in numerology. Yeah, man is a tax. You're getting taxed through your life, through the decay process of you being a human being, you know? So this is all relative to what we're talking about here. And again, it's seemingly the Quran is the same as the Bible, which is the same as the Upanishads, which is the same as even the ancient texts of Shinto in Japan. I mean, it doesn't matter which story and how you want to put it. And it's the same story told in a different way.
Are you saying it's the same, or this is the same author behind all these religious texts? I'm not saying that?
Well, I'm saying it's the supernatural that's using the minds of man or woman to create these ancient texts. You see, right. I mean, it's like this. It's kind of, I'm going to give you a summarization here, a very simple, good analogy, right? The average in the United States, I'm not sure about where you're at, but the average American goes and trades their car in every 3 years, which is why pretty much one of the reasons why they came out with leases. Why does somebody trade their car in every 3 years? Because you get bored of driving the same car and you want something new. How many times do you buy a pair of shoes in your life? Socks, underwear, jeans, jackets, hats, glasses, sunglasses. You know, it's very rare that you keep the same, like, sunglasses. Like, it's people buy a pair, they lose them, or they want a new pair because they're tired of wearing the same pair. Well, it's the same thing with whoever runs this reality. You get these ages that rule over through astrology, so that has its say in it as the base fundamental of how this reality is going to play out. But the architect that runs this reality, it gets bored. It gets bored of what it's created, and it wants something new. And you see, if there was only one thing to choose from, everybody would be following it. And in order to cause division, in order to cause an energetic expression or an explosion, you need arguments, you need division. Well, now you create another religion. And now you have two different organizations thinking they got it figured out, and their way's the right way. And mentally, they're thinking these people are morons. They're not going to be saved. They're the losing team. That's what a lot of these people. I was one of these people a long time ago when I was following a religion. I was thinking in my mind is, like we're judging people. And that is a cause of division, which causes an emotional response, which feeds this reality, because this reality is a battery. It's a movie. The movie is derived off a light. The light's based off of a battery, anode and cathode, sun and moon, positive and negative. And that's why you have all these religions, because the architect that creates these religions, it needs you to follow it. And if it doesn't get you one way, it's going to get you another way. If you don't follow religion, you like sports, great. I'll just create all these sports. Well, I mean, soccer, the most popular sport in the world, it's got the 5 and the 6 right on it. It's got the pentagram and the hexagon, the 5 and the 6, the black and the white. That's soccer ball. The icosahedron, I think, is the truncated icosahedron, right? Is the shape of and that's the 5 and the 6. 56 is tied to the word speed of light, tied to the word lights, camera, action. It's the movie. 5 and 6 is your identity, and then 6 is you being tied to a partner. The Lovers card, the Hierophant and the Lovers, 56. 56 is tied to barium. Barium's all about the movie, the pulse of light. That's what this whole reality is based on, and it needs you as a player, and it needs you to give an emotional response through love and fear. So when you have like some kind of event on the world stage to shake it up a little bit, people are going to go argue, debate. They're going to get angry. They're going to fight. They're going to cause resistance. That causes emotional responses. And that is what causes wars. And you know how much energy gets delivered during wartime? I mean, all this pain and suffering, that energy goes somewhere. Right? So this religion war is
harvest, isn't it? It's a huge harvest.
It's all hard. And harvesting happens every second of every moment of time. Constantly being harvested. And the Greeks called it ambrosia, which is food for the gods. I mean, this is nothing new that I'm saying, but I'm just kind of putting it in a different context in the way I kind of see it, you know, and you're putting it in the way you see it.
Yeah, there was even this I'm trying to remember which book I read it in, but there's this conversation between a samurai and a priest. It's a Japanese instant where these two have and this samurai believes that, you know, if there's any redemption from killing, and the priest starts to laugh and he says everybody kills everyone in some way or form. So, and he goes, what do you mean? And he says, well, you know, if somebody's paying you to do something, they're paying for a portion of your life, so they are killing you in a certain sense, because they have to work to earn to whatever they need to earn, but they need to buy a bit of your life, your time. So you can kill, at least a samurai is being honest and killing somebody in the act of, you know, defending, or in terms of honor. At least you're having a more noble cause than what the common folk do. Yeah. And he got very upset about that, and he had to walk out, but he paid for his drinks. But yeah, it's one of those things, you know. It's quite an interesting, you know, when you bring in these sort of outlooks that people never really think about, and go, yeah, well, time is, you know, Chronos is the devourer, right? The devourer of life. So whatever buys your time is also killing you. In one sense, you can look at it in that way, right?
That's right.
So anyway, I thought let's move away a bit from. I think we kind of sussed out some of the.
We did a pretty good job at kind of breaking that down.
I'm going to throw some some words at you. Okay. So let me know how we're doing for time, Jason, as well. Logan. So
either one works. Good? Logan or Jason, doesn't matter to me. Go ahead. What do you got?
All right. So the word gold occurs 13 times in the Quran.
Well, 13 is tied to Allah because Allah is 13. And gold is 17, which is tied to the Yod He Vah He because Yod He Vah He is 17.
Interesting. Okay. So I'll do another one. So the word silver occurs 10 times in the Quran.
That's 20. Silver's 20. Yep. Which is tied to duality, which is tied to the word birthday, which is tied to the word matter, spirit into matter. Spirit is 19, tied to the sun. Matter is 20, tied to calcium and our bones. Spirit into matter.
What's 10? What is number 10? Is
man. The word man equals 10. The word tax equals 10.
So 10 equals to silver in the Quran. That's what it's.
And remember, silver's tied to the moon.
Right. Okay.
You know, there's the silver. Right. You get into the Holy Bible, you get the 30 pieces of silver. Why 30? Right. Because the Jehovah equals 30. So who's getting what here? 30 pieces of silver? 30's tied to Jehovah? I mean, Demiurge is 30, Santa Claus is 30. Santa Claus goes down the chimney, represents coming down into this game to play the game of life.
Right. So the word angel occurs 95 times in the Quran.
Yeah, well, 95 is tied to I am. I am is in alchemy. I am. You can spell it out on the periodic table. I is iodine. Am is americium. I am. Right. Americium is the 95th element. So and 95 is tied to the number 5. So it's going back to the identity again. The 9 and the 5. 9 is endings and completions, or the mirror. And then 5 is the middle of your dial pad. It's the busiest number, which is going to be tied to the letter S, which is going to be tied to, you know, the sine wave. So 95. And what was the other number? 10?
That was the word silver occurred 10 times.
Oh, silver. Okay, silver. Yeah. So silver is, you know, it's also tied to silver, the silver city. Silver is the most electric element on the periodic table. So duality is the most electric, and we live in an electric universe. We're seemingly the age of Aquarius. We're moving into the electrical age.
So since we're on the elements, I thought I'd go on to the word earth. So the word earth, maybe actually let's leave that one out because it's not giving me the right results. But the word jinn is another one I thought would be quite interesting. Jinn is, as you know, is the beings that are made from the smokeless flame. So jinn or demons, some refer them as to demons, and that occurs 30 times, that word, in the Quran.
Well, I mean, demon is 25, adversary's 25. Jinn is, what is it, J-I-N or G-I-N?
J-I-N-N.
Oh, G-I-N-N. Well, that's a 12. So that can go so many different ways. I can't really give you an outlook on that, but that's Pisces, and that's magnesium, the Magnus. But demon is a big one because it's anytime you look at the word D-E-D, demote, devalue, decode. And DE is 45, and that's Pandora's box. So when we decode, what we're doing is we're decoding this reality, which is Pandora's box, which is Earth.
Right.
So demon, well, that's why I say be the best little devil you can be, because that's exactly, you're a sinner down here in Pandora's box. You can't help it. And you're living out a predestined script. I'm not saying that gives you the excuse to go be an asshole and just be not a nice person. No, on the contrary. It should give you the power to say, well, okay, and then through free will, if you believe you have that, free will's 33. If you believe you have free will, well, then are you going and checking off the box, making sure you're becoming an angel? Angel 17. 17 is the 7th prime number, the 7 chakras. It's the star card in the tarot. We're all stars down here in this reality. That's angel, the angel. Are you going to be the star in your own movie? You're going to be, I'd say if you're going to be an extra, well, I mean, now you may be being a demon, more demon-like, if you're just an extra. A lot of people, most people are just extras in this movie. They're not interested in being a star. So
the word sky occurs 62 times in the Quran.
How many times? 62? 62,
sky.
Yeah, well, 62 is life is but a dream. So that makes a lot of sense.
Interesting how it's referring to that.
The dream.
So the word star occurs 58 times in the Quran.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's 10, and that's man. So we're the star in the movie. Star is 10, man is 10. Huh?
And the pentagram as well.
Absolutely, the pentagram.
Yeah.
And pentagram is 33, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, pentagram is 33.
So it's all linked, isn't it? It's all linked.
It's all linked, man. It's all linked. And you know, there are on the soccer ball, there are is it 12 pentagrams and 20? Yeah, 12 pentagrams. I think it's 12. So 12 is the hangman. So your identity, you come down here to play the game, but you're now the hangman. You're now a fish. Fish is 17, gold is 17. The star card's the 17th card. You know, we're all goldfish down here. Fish, that's why Jesus was a fisher of men. The two fish of Pisces is the two hemispheres of your brain.
Well, it even says in the Quran that the luminaries above the sun and the moon, they swim in the sky. The word swimming is used, which is really interesting too. Yep. So the next one I have for you, Logan, is sun. It occurs 38 times.
S-U-M-M?
Sun, as in the sun, the sunlight.
Sun, yeah, well, sun is 14. So God is 14. 14 is, you know, I mean, it's a big number. I mean, if you mirror the chakras, you get 14 of them. As above, so below, right? The sun reflecting off it's just light, spirit into matter. 14 being tied to the element silicon. Silicon is tied to the technology capital of the world, which is in Silicon Valley. Silicon 14, from my research, if you the cross, I broke the cross down alchemically, and silicon is the element that's to the right of you, which is where the future goes. So silicon being tied to technology, being tied to the number 14, being tied to the sun, it's moving to the future, creating the future.
And what's 38? What does that mean?
38 is a huge number. Well, there are many ways to look at the number 38. Number one, it's tied to the Red Queen, and it's tied to the it's actually, I mean, it's tied right straight up to Kabbalah. I mean, the entire there are 15 archetypes in the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. You have Ein Sof and Ein, and before it actually moves into the Sephiroths. So there are 4 archetypes, including Ein Sof, and then you have the 11 Sephiroths below. 11 plus 4 is 15. And when you do the numerology of all 15 and you break it down to single digits, it becomes the number 87. And the 87 is tied to the 38th element called strontium. Strontium's weight is 87. So it's really interesting because, you know, then you get into the latitude, longitude on a map. The Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, is at 38 degrees north. And that's all tied to the Tetragrammaton, because Washington, D.C., White House, these all equal 47, which matches the word Tetragrammaton. So, you know, this is the way I see it when you break all this down. And the 38 is just a number that describes the Tree of Life, including the Ein Sof and all that stuff. So you go to the Quran and it's just going to be this, again, it's just the personification of the sun and the moon and the celestials and however that looks, and then moving into man, which is the Tree of Life, which is our body.
Wow.
The flower of life, flower of life is Earth itself. It's the sacred geometry. It's all inside the self-contained system. Like I say, we live inside of an egg. We live inside of a bulb. And so the globe model is, I know a lot of people, they're flat earthers, but you see that model works, but so does the globe, because you live inside of a circle, inside of a well,
you got the firmament, or the firmament, the shell that covers the earth. So it depends on how you look at it, you know.
That's it.
I don't look at it as a sort of just the plane or plate. You got to include, you know, the dome, so to speak. And
you got to include the dome, man. You got to include the dome.
Nobody talks about what's under the ground or under the earth, Logan. I mean, this is another thing that I have an issue with as well, is that people talk about it from surface up, but we haven't even begun to even look down or dig deep down under the earth and to know what's under there. And you know, when you have the Hermetic saying, as above, so below, if you're having a dome and there's a plane of inertia, or you know, a plane, you know, using the flat earth model, say, but then you've got below it, because it's got to have the same reflected above as it is below. I mean, that's for me, my personal opinion. So yeah, so you know, it could very well be this sort of egg, cosmic egg, as you hear it.
I totally think that's what it is. I mean, like I said, if you want to go see what the earth looks like, go to a Google search or your favorite search engine and type in xenon movie bulb. And that's exactly what you're going to see. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show all of you right now on the fly here. Let me just share my screen here. Hold on one second. I'm going to show you. Want to see what the earth looks like? This is what it looks like. Hold on. Let me share my screen. Right here. This is exactly what Earth looks like right there. There it is on its side. So the firmament this is the xenon bulb used in a movie theater. Okay, xenon gas, and this is where the speed of light is. And the speed of light is measured in a vacuum. This is a vacuum, and you can see that the point here, the triangle here, is pointing down, and then you have the plane of inertia would be here in the middle, and the light is right there, and it reflects off the glass, and it creates the picture. This is Earth right here. It's just in a movie theater bulb, but this is my belief. This is what it is. It comes down to xenon, straight up tied to Ein Sof. It's tied to the voice in your head, et cetera, et cetera. Like the little voice in your head that's talking, that runs you. Well, it's tied to xenon, the stranger in your head. When you go to the periodic table and you look at the element xenon right here, There's the lightning bolt, the flash of creation. And look at what it comes from. The Greek word, it means stranger, the stranger in your head. 54. Yeah, it's Xenos, and it starts with the letter X. Comes from the word Xenos in the Greek. I mean, look at the melting point, 111. That's tied to the sun. The magic square of the sun is all multiples of 111. 161 Kelvin, that's the golden ratio. It's pretty simple to see once you start breaking this stuff down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just even seeing the two different contraptions within the bulb.
Yep.
You also have that duality thing going on.
That's it, man.
They need those two things to create the image.
You do, and
really interesting.
what you have here is you now have bismuth, because bismuth would probably be these two right here, and these are going to be diamagnetic. And what you'll have is, if you go and look at let me see, diamagnetic bismuth. If you go look at this right here, this is the levitation of this is Earth right here. This is exactly how I think it works. These two triangles are going to be made of bismuth. It's the most diamagnetic. That means that the magnetic force passes through it. And then you have a magnet up here at the top. You just don't see it. And then it levitates this cube in the middle. Okay. And this is Earth. This is how Earth gets levitated. And then the bulb would go around this, and you'd have the firmament around this. That's what this looks like right here. This is Earth, man. It's just, wow. This is science showing you here, but it's pretty amazing, man. And bismuth is the 83rd element, which is the mirror of the 38.
So you got the whole electromagnetism as well going on.
It's all about diamagnetic, electromagnetic. That's the pulse of light. See, the whole entire concept of creation is about is chasing light. So if you get into Genesis, it's like Genesis 1 verses 2, it says the Spirit of God moved across the waters. What is the Spirit? Well, Spirit is 19, so it's tied to the sun. It means it's light. So it's the magnetic pulse, it's the pulse of light. And then what chases the pulse of light? The two waves, which is the electromagnetic wave, which gives you the caduceus. It chases that pulse of light. That's the whole story of creation. And it never ends. It just changes.
That's the whole point of when you talk about the Kundalini rising and the people experiencing Kundalini, it's like a light bulb switches on, because you feel these energetic things going up your spine and lighting up, the pineal, again, the pine cone, the seat of the soul, so to speak, and whatever else other labels is given.
Well, it's actually it'll be the thalamus too. Don't forget about the thalamus.
Optic thalamus, yes.
The thalamus is the golden egg, right? That sits inside the eye. And it just so happens that thalamus in numerology equals 27, just like the word heaven. Just like the word Ensof.
Wow.
So your little voice in your head, you don't own that. It owns you. You're just along for the ride. Your adversary is your ego. It's like, no, I'm not gonna listen to that. I'm just gonna do whatever I got. I'm just gonna do what I want to do. So that's the
self-image, right? That's the whole self-image.
Yeah, you end up falling in love with this. Yeah, you end up falling in love. This is your demon right here. This is matter, right? And now your adversary is the voice in your head,
which is the voice of God.
Yeah, of course, it's the voice of God, right? So that's what runs. And even in Genesis 6 verses 3, it says that my spirit will not reside in man forever. It'll only be 120 years. It says my spirit, not yours. My spirit will not reside in man forever. It's not made to, it's only designed to live, because this right here is only designed for a certain period of time. Just like the cells in your body, they're not designed to live forever. They're committing suicide. It's called apoptosis. They self-suicide, which create energy, how do you think ATP gets created, which is the energetic expression of cells? Well, this body is a battery. We are batteries. And this is the so below battery. And we're little mini cells in a bigger battery, which is just what I showed you in that xenon bulb. We feed it to create the movie, the energy. Like you and me, our voice, we're all, and it's, I say to people, when I do readings for people, I tell them, I'm like, listen, okay, for the next few hours that I'm going to do this reading for you, okay, I want you to take into consideration that you are the only thing that matters. So I'm going to get you really egoic here. Like I'm going to really say, and I'm going to say this to you, Amed, and anybody listening, you are the star of this movie. Once you go, that's it. There's no more movie. Now you're going to say, well, of course there's going to be, life's going to go on. Yes. But you see, you won't know what that is all about because you're done. You're history. So
yeah,
see,
this Amed is only going to happen once.
That's it, man. So like when you look at your movie, who is the stars of your movie? Who is the cast? It's your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your partners, anybody you've been intimate with. This is your entourage. This is your cast. And anybody that's way outside of that, those are extras. So when you turn on the mainstream, you turn on these news stations, those people are not stars in your movie, only if you allow them to. And most people do. Most people are not creating, they're just complaining. You got to stop complaining, folks. You got to start creating. Turn off the mainstream. That's all just dirty laundry designed to suck you. They need your energy. So the whole age of Aquarius, you're either going to continue to give you're either continue to get siphoned, and you're going to give your energy, your precious energy. God, your precious energy. You're either going to give it away like you've been doing, or you're going to take your power back and you're going to be a creator. And that's the name of the game is, what are you going to create? If you, and what does your life look like? Like, I would imagine everybody here is they want to create a utopia. Utopia starts with the letter U, you and me, utopia. That's uranium, utopia. So most people here, they incarnated to create a utopia, but there are people that didn't incarnate to create a utopia. They incarnated to create a dystopia, yin yang. You can't have everybody incarnating to create a utopia. It wouldn't work. Why do you have an immune system? And then why do you have pathogens and bacteria entering the body? Because the body needs to be broken down, and the pathogens and bacteria, et cetera, that's the job of, they're the dystopians. They come in to tear the body down, and your immune system and the white blood cells, they're designed to keep the utopia. But it doesn't last forever, this experience. We're not designed to live forever. I don't know. I know the Bible says, the Holy Bible says you're going to live forever, but I just think that's a digital paradise. If you ask me, you're going to go into the quantum realm. Quantum's 27, heaven's 27. I just think that's inevitable. I mean, downsizing that movie, Downsizing with Matt Damon and, all these time travel movies. And I think that's where it's at. I think perhaps we move into machine, and machine is transferring your consciousness onto a computer, and then you get in through the age of Aquarius.
Then you'll really be in a simulation there.
Then you're really going to be in there. Yeah. But think about it, man. Mankind, we're ruining the earth. Now you may say, well, I'm not doing it. Well, are you wiping your ass with toilet paper? Because you're a contributing factor to tearing the trees down. You're using paper towels when you wipe down your sink, right? Those are trees. You're ripping it. You're part of that process. All your materials, your clothes, and this is all material from the earth. You're robbing from the earth. It's inevitable. So I think mankind is ruining the earth. We're all contributing. We're all stone cold killers.
Well, we definitely have a disconnect with nature. That's for sure.
Yeah, even if you get into nature.
Yeah, if you go back, into early European, before the introduction of monotheism and these major religions, it was pretty much pagan. What is pagan? People get the wrong idea about paganism, but that's the same thing. It's the worship of nature. That's
just nature.
They found God in nature. Or the creator was in nature. That was it. So yeah, man, we I'm loving this chat. And how are you doing for time anyway, Logan?
Yeah, I think for the sake of this podcast, to keep it kind of on the shorter side, I think probably we should conclude it. We've been going for a minute now, and
all right,
my rambles. Thanks for letting me do my rants, because I got a lot of Mercury in my chart. So
right, all good. Well, the message has been received. Speaking of Mercury, so thank you very much for giving us such a insight into decoding and seeing how these numbers in the Quran, especially the mysterious letters, all kind of, they all connect. They all are related and interrelated. So
I love it. I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of the Islam nation, because those people are just like me. They may have different beliefs. I don't care what your belief is, man. You got skin, eyes, hair, teeth. As long as you're cool and you don't encroach upon me and my truths, then that's totally cool. We can love each other, live and let live. That's my motto. But, you know, I have love for everybody, man. It doesn't matter what you believe. Just it matters if are you building a utopia? And what does it look like? Are you more of a creator than a complainer? That's what I'm interested in at this point. Are you making lemonade out of this reality? So I'm a fan of the Quran, all these ancient texts. I'm getting into the ancient texts of Shinto and Japan. Japan is 16, the land of the rising sun. I have a decode coming out on that. Whoo, is that interesting? That is super interesting. Jah, praise Jah, and then Pan, the god Pan, Japan. So.
All right, yeah.
And their, you know, their flag, Japan's flag is got, Japan's flag has a big red dot on it, which is the blood cell. They're going to say it's the sun, but the as above, but the so below is us. It's our blood, the big white.
Yeah, and the blood contains plasma as well. Plasma is light.
Absolutely.
Yep. Wow, I'm looking forward to that, Logan. That's something that I'll be watching out for eagerly, and your video, as well as you said, Kabbalah as well. You're going to be
Kabbalah is my next one. Yeah, I'm going to probably shoot that tonight. I have it all ready to go.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the biggest decodes. I got a lot of work into this one, but again, I mean, the head start is it's the same thing as the Quran, as the Bible, as the ancient texts of Shinto, as the Upanishads, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Same story told in a different way. And that's how we can all be friends now. See, we can all be friends now, folks. Because now it doesn't matter what your truth is. Just you do you. I'm going to do me. Ahmed, you do you. And we can get social and have fun and celebrate life instead of bitching and complaining about it. Trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong.
Thank you very much, Logan. Well, life is too short in this body anyway. So yeah, quit complaining and start creating.
Creating, man. Yep. Be a creator, not a complainer.
Yep. Amen, ramen.
There you go,
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Well, till next time. Well, let's do this again. I would love to do this again. So
for sure, we'll dive into a little bit more deeper layers. I think I got to put some more time into these mysterious letters.
For sure. I would like to get a bit more structure on it as well for you to see what to have a bit of a breakdown and maybe give a more kind of succinct presentation. But I think we shot from the hip quite well today.
For sure.
You know, I hope you viewers enjoyed it, and till next time. Thank you very much, Logan.
Till next time, brother. Thank
you.
All the best.